Hello everyone, this is Caleb, and I just finished watching all of Dragon Ball. I started back in December, and prior to this, I'd pretty much only consumed like the big three, so it'd be One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. So Dragon Ball was like the biggest thing that I was missing, and I'm glad I finally watched it. And I chose to watch it because it seems like the quintessential like anime compared to just reading the manga. Because I understand some people just read the manga or whatever, and I haven't caught up on the Dragon Ball Super manga, but I've basically watched everything. I've watched Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, GT, Super, and as well as all the movies. I didn't watch Dragon Ball or Super Dragon Ball Heroes though. Not yet. I maybe eventually I'll get to it, but from what I understand, it's just like some like what if scenarios or something like that. So not really canon, though GT isn't really canon either, but you get the idea. So I just want to give my thoughts on this series, and I understand that basically anyone watching this would be familiar with it, so there you go. And by the way, this does include spoilers for like OG Dragon Ball, because I know some people haven't seen it, so there you go, as well as Dragon Ball GT. I know a lot of people maybe have only seen Z or Super or whatever, but so it's going to include all those as well. Prior to me actually watching the series, I didn't really know much about it. I knew some character names. I knew Goku, obviously, Vegeta, Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo. But other than that, I didn't really know any other characters. I was familiar with some of the memes. I had seen them. I didn't really understand the context of them, but I do now. So I watched everything pretty much in release order for the most part. I watched the movies like after I finished the series. So like I watched Dragon Ball Z movies after Z. Except for like the Battle of Gods, I watched that before watching Dragon Ball Super, even though it's sort of recapped in the anime itself. The thing that was kind of interesting was there is a character called Gohan in the original series, and of course, I'd pretty much only heard the name Gohan before watching it. So as soon as this character showed up, I'm like, oh, this must be the Gohan they're talking about. It's not. Same thing happened with Piccolo too. That's kind of weird. It's kind of like that if I had a nickel for every time this happened, but it happened twice, whatever. But it is kind of funny how that happened. Two different Piccolos and two different Gohans. I don't know, I just thought that was weird. But like I said, I started watching with the OG Dragon Ball, so I didn't really know what was going on with Z. I didn't know Gohan was Goku's son or anything like that. Something else that I thought was kind of weird is Piccolo is usually thought up as being like one of the adult characters, which, yeah, he is, but he's barely older than Gohan, which is kind of interesting because at the end of Dragon Ball, Goku is like 18 years old or something like that, and then Piccolo is only like 3. So Piccolo is only 3 years older than Gohan, which I think is interesting because Piccolo is like this father figure sort of to Gohan. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of weird. I think my favorite arc from the OG Dragon Ball series would probably be the King Piccolo arc. I did also like the Red Ribbon Army arc. I thought that was pretty cool. Because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen the original Dragon Ball series, nobody really talks about those characters. Like, I don't really see people, like, prior to me watching it, I hadn't even heard of Yamcha or Tien or Chaozu or anything like that. Those characters are pretty much only in OG Dragon Ball. Character like Launch isn't even... She just vanished. I don't know what happened. Apparently she worked on a farm or something. I have no idea what happened. She like made a cameo in like the Buu Saga or something. She vanished. Something I see a lot is that people like to say that OG Dragon Ball was better because it was more about martial arts. I mean, not really. It's just that Dragon Ball Z had more of like energy blasts, Gallic Gun, and Kamehameha waves. You don't really see that much in OG Dragon Ball. OG Dragon Ball is mostly just like fist fighting. There are like energy waves and stuff like that, but it's not as much as Z, so I guess that's what they're going for. And I do agree, there should be some more attacks. There was one attack that I think Goku did a couple times that was pretty cool. Instead of doing just like a regular Kamehameha wave, he basically used it as a way to propel himself forward, and he like punched someone with it. I thought that was really cool. That move never returned. And then something like the after image technique, that also never really came back. I think he might have done it like once during the Tournament of Power, but that was it. Overall, I thought the OG Dragon Ball series was pretty good. Dragon Ball Z, I think, was better in general. My favorite arc is probably the Cell Saga. I think that one was pretty good. And the thing I really liked about that is that this was before they kind of sidelined any of the characters. And of course, Yamcha didn't really do much in that arc, but he was there. He was like training, and he did get, he sort of fought the androids, kind of. I mean, he was there at least, and he tried to his Yamcha extent. I also like Future Trunks. I thought that was really cool. The Cell Saga is basically, like I said, it's where they had all these cool characters. They had Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta, Yamcha was there, Tien was there, Krillin was there. All the characters before they got sidelined, and before it was basically just about Goku and Vegeta. So I thought that was really cool. Later on, like I said, the characters they don't really show up that much except for in Tournament of Power they showed up. Yamcha never really makes a comeback except for like in filler, and that obviously doesn't really matter. I'm not really sure if this is a hot take or not, but I would like to see more emphasis on the human characters, even if they're not necessarily like fighting the big bad guys or whatever. Like I understand if they couldn't take on Jiren or something like that, but I kind of wish they would come back in some way, even if it's just like a side plot line. Maybe they're trying to uncover a mystery. Maybe they're not directly fighting. But I think it'd be cool if they had some sort of excuse to be back in the story instead of it just being about Goku and Vegeta. I'm not sure if that's a hot take or not. I do know that I did ask my friend Bo, and he said that he hates that idea. He hates the idea of the human characters coming back because they're not relevant anymore. It seems kind of weird. I mean, Tien is cool. I mean, all those characters are cool for the most part. It just seems kind of weird that they were just sidelined and never had a reason to come back. Like I said, Dragon Ball Super sort of brought them back in a limited way, but they were never really back in the fight. Something else that I would have liked to see was maybe if Pilaf got his wish. Like I don't know if this was like a Super Dragon Ball Heroes type of thing, but I would like to see what would happen if Pilaf got what he wanted. He was able to take over the world, and maybe he ended up being stronger than they anticipated or something like that. But I think it would have been cool to see something like that. Obviously, he's like a joke character, but I like the idea of a character who's underestimated and eventually becomes super powerful and a really hard enemy to defeat. Yeah, so Dragon Ball Z as a whole I thought was pretty good. I understand that some people have problems with like the Cell Saga because they are kind of stupid in that arc. Namek was also I like Namek because I think Krillin is one of the best characters. The problem with Namek is he's also one of the only characters in that. It's just Gohan, Krillin, Frieza, and Vegeta for the most part. Another thing that I hated about that arc, and they did this a few times, is they're all just waiting for Goku to show up. I'm glad they stopped doing that, but I really hated that trope of just waiting for the big hero to come and save the day. I thought that was really stupid and lazy. I also like Dragon Ball Super a lot. The thing that's interesting though, and I guess this isn't technically Dragon Ball Super, but in the Battle of Gods movie, that probably had one of the best fights in the entire series, at least up to that point. That was like the best choreographed, if that you could say that about like an animated thing, the best fight scene in the entire series up to that point. And it wasn't even like the animation in that movie. It's far and away the best thing that Dragon Ball has ever seen. Basically, I mean, as far as I've seen anyway. And I know some people like Dragon Ball Super Broly, and the thing about Broly is the animation is really good, but the drawing of the characters themselves looks really flat. I don't know what the consensus is about the art style of that movie, but I just thought it was really weird. The animation is some of the best in the series, but the characters just look drawn in kind of a weird way. Like they sort of lack detail, if that makes sense. I know some people don't really like Dragon Ball Super that much, but I thought it was pretty good. Basically as good as anything else in the series. For the most part, of course, there are some, ups and downs, whatever, but obviously Tournament of Power, I feel like is probably the fan favorite, at least of Super. I really like the Goku Black arc, though. I thought that was really good, because like I said, I think Future Trunks is a really cool character, so I was really glad to see him back, and specifically that it's the same Future Trunks as we saw in the Cell Saga, instead of a Future Trunks of the Trunks that grew up in the timeline where they defeated the androids. That makes sense, like a new version of Future Trunks from the same timeline, whatever, it doesn't really matter, you get the idea. GT was also pretty interesting. I did watch it in chronological order, so I did watch GT after Z, but before Super. GT is interesting. I did also like Trunks and Pan and Goku in that. Goku I thought was okay in that. Like, it was interesting to see him as a kid again, but it didn't really make sense. Also, I thought Oob was really underutilized in that. I would have liked to see, more of those characters. The battles are kind of weird, and I thought GT was going to be, because it's so short, it's only like 50 episodes or something like that, I thought it was just going to be them going to find the Black Star Dragon Balls, but that only happened until like a third of the way through the show, then they came back, and then some other hijinks ensued. So that's kind of weird. Super Saiyan 4 is pretty cool. I will give it that. And there is like a debate or whatever if it more powerful than Super Saiyan God. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I would assume people in general, just on the face value, it seems like Super Saiyan God would be more powerful because it's literally God power, but Super Saiyan 4 just feels like it should be more powerful than at least the base level of Super Saiyan God, right? Because Super Saiyan God isn't even more powerful. It's just a different type of energy, right? I would think. Something like that. I don't know about Blue, though. I don't know what's going on there. Also, something that kind of annoyed me with GT was that they teased Super Saiyan 5 and adult Gotenks, which never happened, and that was such a wasted opportunity. That's also sort of happened in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. They said, Goten and Trunks are like, how about we fuse? And they did, and just ended up being like fat Gotenks. I'm like, okay, well that was kind of a waste of time. I did like Piccolo finally having like an important role in that movie though. That was pretty cool. Yeah, GT is interesting. I thought GT was good. I did like the ending. I thought the ending was really good of GT. I'm not really sure about the movie though, the GT movie. I thought that was kind of strange. There was like a debate about whether Goku Jr. is the grandson of Pan. I don't really think it matters. The point is that he's a descendant of Goku. But if I were to weigh in on this, I feel like it sort of makes sense that he would be the grandson of Pan, just because he calls her grandmother in the movie. I feel like that seems like a pretty, open shut case there. Yeah, but overall, I would say I really liked Dragon Ball. It's probably, I don't know if this is a recency bias or not, but it might be the best anime I've seen so far. So I thought that was really good, and I understand why some people will say it's way above like the big three, and I do agree at least to in most metrics. I would say it's generally better. I would have, like I said, would have liked to see more of the human characters, but what are you gonna do? That said, one of my favorite characters is probably gonna be Krillin. He's probably my favorite character outside of like Goku. So it's probably an unpopular opinion, right? People probably say like Vegeta or Piccolo or something. Nah, I'm saying Krillin. Also, I do think it's kind of interesting that they sidelined Krillin, even though he just like objectively had the most powerful attack in the entire series. Destructo Disc is indestructible. In fact, it's so powerful that both Goku and Frieza copied it. So I feel like Toriyama realized that he gave him a move that was way too powerful, and so they had to make him like miss every single time with it. Otherwise, he would have just won instantly. Also, I don't know what the hell is up with him being like super short in Dragon Ball Super. Wasn't he like almost the height of Goku, or like chest level to Goku, but now he's like half his height? I don't know what the hell's going on with the sizes. I guess the idea is just that, oh, he's short, but like you didn't have to make him that short, man. Like make him like a normal human size. He literally has like the proportions of a child. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, Dragon Ball's good. Let me know what you guys think about my hot takes in the comments. Should the human characters come back? Yes or no? That's basically the main thing I want to know. What's your favorite arc? So just let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.